welcome to Give Mike a Mic Reloaded. Load it.
Muffin time!
I feel like we could have a very educated conversation without
That'd be good.
being like
Without ganging up on
yes.
me? Yeah.
Okay, which is your favorite Destiny, Joe?
Probably the one.
You want to talk about
The
Destiny?
one-
What the f*** you want to talk about Destiny then? Tell me.
So, let me tell you. My favorite one is when...
Jamie, tell me!
The
Jamie!
guy...
But let me see.
You have to chop his head off, his arms off, his fingers off, everything. His penis, everything. Just chop it all off. His power, anything that swings, that can swing, is powerful, including his dick.
Get rid of it.
Chop it all off. Just get it off.
Get rid of it.
Get it out of here. Just fling it somewhere else. Burn it. Burn it to the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Mike a Mic Reloaded. My name is Michael, and I am joined here by a special guest on International Women's Day. This is Maria Elena. That's what you go by, right?
I go by Maria Elena, yeah.
Yeah.
Maria Elena.
Yeah, Maria Elena. Oh, wait. Anyways, so we're here. It's as promised. I said we were going to have some special guests on the podcast, and I also had requests on making sure I get a female perspective on a lot of things that happen on the podcast and guests. So I did record a podcast about a month ago that I keep talking about. We're going to release it because she keeps asking me when it's going to be released. I apologize to the flight attendant that I recorded it with. It will be released soon. But we wanted to push this one through because it is International Women's Day. I think it's appropriate that we celebrate that with a woman here who has been a friend of mine for a very long time, since before I started with the current airline I'm with, right? It was like right before this one.
Since like 2000, I want to say 13.
2013.
So you were going into school or training?
No, into training.
Was it for this one?
For this one,
For
yeah.
this specific
Because I don't think I knew you with JetBlue. No, because I didn't have my apartment or anything. I don't think you had me. You had known me then.
No.
When I lived on the TV stand and all that. No. Okay.
No, it was for the one that you're.
So it's for this one now.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Oh my God, so long already. 10 years.
Yeah, that was 20.
13 or 14. 14 is going to be 9 years.
No, I think it was end of
13?
2013.
Beginning.
Because I started in 2014.
Yep. You were just graduating.
I was just graduating.
I think you just graduated in March, if I'm not mistaken.
I did finish training the end of March.
Yeah.
And I'm celebrating my 9th year this year.
9 years.
So it'll be almost 9 years.
That's wild. Time flies.
So 9 years we've known each other. And this woman has supported me through a lot of things in the background. I think with any friend that you have friends that come and go. And sometimes you don't talk to each other for a while, months, years. And then you somehow find your way back into each other's lives, supporting yourselves in different ways, whether it's just on Instagram, whether it's just on Facebook, whether it's just a text message, whether you do see each other in person. Like it's different levels to friendship. So we have gone through different levels of that.
Yes, we have.
Experienced every level. But we're here and alive.
I'm so proud of you.
And
Look at you.
Thank you. And I feel like we are better than we were.
Oh, for sure. That's that growth. And I would hope in the 9 years that we've known each other that some kind of growth has happened, right?
There's been a lot of growth.
Yes.
Yes.
If not, then I don't know what we're doing with our life, right?
And as a good friend, for those of you watching the video, you can see she has a beautiful mic stand with her. I have to hold my microphone for this podcast because there's some issues happening with this.
I offered my stand.
I know you did. But no, you are the guest here, so
Thank you
get
for having me.
the stuff.
I'm excited to get
I'm excited too. So, being the first female, of course, on the podcast, and being the first real a guest that I have a one-on-one sit down with, I would say, just tell the people of the world who you are, what you're about.
Okay.
What are you doing right now for whatever? What are your accomplishments right now? Give me your resume.
Right, resume.
No, not your entire resume. Just
No, I'm
just
not.
a portion
There's
of
too
it.
much.
But yeah,
Been
there's a
working since I
lot.
was
There's a
11.
lot. You
Let's
are
not
you're
do
a
that.
hustler.
I am.
When it comes to you wear many different hats.
Yes, I do. And I like it. I like it because there's not a lot of things that I can say that I won't try or that I haven't tried. So, my name is Maria or Maria Elena, but I go by Maria or Ria. I am 32 years old. I'm going to be 33 this year. I am
33 this
I
year?
hate speaking about myself.
You're going to be 33 this year?
Am I right?
What
Yeah,
a freaking baby.
33.
Yeah.
I'm a baby.
I mean, compared
whatever.
to
I have a wise soul, okay? Like my
Yeah,
soul
I
is
would
very
say.
old school.
you don't act your age, I would say. And I think that goes with experiences that you've
Yeah.
gone through.
Yes,
So.
I agree 100%. I grew up very fast and very I want to say I want to grow up like in my teens or even earlier, but besides the point, that is why I feel like I'm an old soul. But I am going to be 33 this year. I am currently waiting for my license. I went back to school after being a medical assistant for over 12 years. And I went back to school for full specialist. So I am now doing nails and skin. I'm waiting on my licenses. I graduated.
Jealous.
Black Friday.
That's right, you
of
did graduate,
2022.
right? Yeah.
Yes, I did.
So how long does it take to get that licensing?
I just paid for my licensing in the middle of February. So now it's about a month because it's backed up. So right now I'm just doing mobile and just going here or they're coming to me until I get that license so I can get myself into a studio.
Nice.
Yep. While I wait for that, I am also a distributor for Herbalife. So I am a wellness coach. I help individuals get on a meal plan that is very simple so that they're able to go ahead and obtain whatever goal it is that they're looking to obtain, whether it's lose weight, gain muscle, get energy, whatever it is, or maintain
All
their
three.
weight.
All
Yeah.
three.
Or four.
All three I need. So I might be hitting you up soon.
So yeah, that's pretty much me, I guess.
That's what you're about.
Yes.
I am gonna have Maria on not only for tonight. Tonight we're testing the waters to see
He wants to see if I'm good enough to
if you're a good
be
fit.
put back on.
if you're a good fit for this show.
But we're already
That's what we
calling
want.
it. I am.
But we are planning on doing this episode, of course, today, and then having you on again for more of a mental health discussion.
Yes. My favorite topic.
Yes. So that was initially why I had asked her to come on the show, because we want to have a little bit more of a discussion for mental health. And I did want to have people, obviously, like professionals that come on. And if I knew any professionals besides my therapist, I'd ask them to come onto the podcast. However, I don't, but I do want to have people that either have an interest in mental health or maybe have dealt with mental health issues in the past, or maybe a little bit of both. And I feel like you are well qualified in all that. And of course, you have a pretty solid social media presence.
Yes, I do.
It's better than mine, I would say. But hopefully that would change when you share this with all your followers
Oh, for
and
sure.
subscribers.
A lot of individuals
So-
are really excited for this to come out. So I'm excited to
Yeah.
go ahead and share this.
I'm excited for you to share it too, because I need all 3,000 of your followers to be following this podcast. But I did want to have you on to talk about the mental health stuff. And I think having a woman's perspective on that, when we do talk about that, will be invaluable, if that's the word I'm using correctly. I believe I am, because I'm smart like that. But I will say that, yeah, we're going to have that conversation.
I'm excited for it. Just to see
Later.
a woman's perspective and a man's
Yes.
perspective.
And we're going to be talking about the men's mental health and women's mental health. And also bringing awareness to both and what the differences are. We discussed this on Instagram. We had the little DM conversation. And I did want to have you on, obviously, for that. We initially thought that March was Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes, I really thought it was in March, but it's because my church is holding a mental health week. So I'm thinking, I was like, oh, that would be perfect. But then he told me, he's like, oh, it's in May. And I'm like, no way. But I know for sure March is International Women's
Yes,
Day,
it's
but
International
month
Women's
as well.
Day and then Women's History Month.
Yeah, and
I
Black
believe.
History Month.
And Black History Month.
So many different. No. What am I doing?
No, Black History Month is
No.
February. You don't know your months. You don't
No,
know. Your
I
months.
don't know. Everything is blending, guys. Everything is blending.
Yeah, we'll
No, March is solely for the women.
for women. Yeah, Women's History Month.
Of
Actually,
course,
you know
St.
what?
Patty's Day too.
Every month is for women. What are you
Yes,
talking about?
you're
Every day
right.
is for women. You know, feminist as fuck right now. But I will say, yeah, I did want to have you on here about International Women's Day because we did want to have a woman obviously on the podcast. But I did send you a little. I didn't know too much about like International Women's Day, but I did find an article obviously on like BBC News because I love BBC News.
BBC News.
Yeah, BBC is.
Shout out to BBC.
Yeah, it's not what you think. So get y'all
Oh Lord Jesus.
get y'all's head out the gutter.
Yes, no, it is a.
But it's a
outlet.
news outlet. Yes, BBC and is international. It happens in London and UK and all that stuff.
Right?
So
Africa, Asia, Australia, Europe.
yes. So,
America.
but I did want to go over kind of like the highlights about this article here, and then maybe have a discussion about it. But International Women's Day, known as IWD, which is weird because
Right.
isn't there like IODs and
And
IUDs?
UDI,
UDIs. You're the woman here, so I don't
Right.
know. There's you gotta correct me on these things. I don't know.
Yeah,
But something like that,
DUIs
yeah.
and-
No, not DUIs. DUIs is
Yeah.
international for everybody. Whatever you ladies put inside of you to prevent
Yes, a DIU, right? I don't even know.
IUD? IUD?
IUD. There we go.
That feels
there
good,
we
yeah.
go.
So yeah, back
Yeah,
full circle. IWD, IUD, it's all the same.
A B C D E F G.
Yes. So in 1908, when 15,000 women marched through New York City demanding shorter working hours, better pay, and the right to vote, a year later, there was a Socialist Party of America declared the first National Women's Day. So it was really in protest of better pay and shorter working hours because women are expected to work a very long set of hours at home. And then if you want to go into the working field, you should also be working longer hours for either, nowadays it's comparable pay, but definitely not. Back then it was,
I feel
Definitely
like it was
not.
zero.
yeah, it was probably zero.
Unfortunately.
It was probably 5 cents to a man's dollar
Yeah.
back then. I have to look at the stats for that. I probably looked that up. But anyways, it was celebrated in 1911 in Austria, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland. So that means in 2011, they celebrated their centenary, which was the 111th International Women's Day. So this year we'll be celebrating what's 12 years after that, the 124th International Women's Day. Math is great. So
Not my strongest.
not the strong
give me English, history.
English, yeah.
Yeah, mathematics, not. Nope.
Mine was English followed by math on that. But
English, history for me.
so
Science, don't even ask me.
for International Women's Day, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I might adjust it in post so you can see the green. But I am wearing green. So
You
during
didn't give me that memo, y'all.
no, I didn't give you the memo. You got black and
Black and white.
Black and white.
With
Well, actually, white is a color. It's part of the color palette of International Women's Day. It's purple, green, and white. Purple signifies justice and dignity, so that's why a lot of women do wear purple on today. So if you're out there and listening to the podcast at 6 a.m. when this releases and haven't got ready for work or your day, find something purple.
something,
and
anything.
and
Your
represent.
scrubs.
Wait, isn't your
whatever you
hair
wear.
purple? Your hair
Yes,
is
my hair
purple.
is purple. That is actually my favorite
Boom!
color. There we go. We're in
Boom.
sync, baby.
You got it. So purple is justice and dignity. Green, which I'm wearing, symbolizes hope. So there's hope for you ladies. Don't worry. And then white represents purity, which is controversial apparently for some
We're not
people.
gonna go there.
We're not going to go there.
No, but you are right. There is.
Yes.
Anyway, that's a whole other podcast, y'all.
So of course you can't have an International Women's Day without having an International Man's Day because, women just can't have a day
No, we can't have
without
anything
a man
to
trying to
ourselves.
be. Yeah.
It's always has to be, and I get it. Okay, equality, but I feel like there's some things that should be just left for women, and some things that should just be left for men.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, we don't have to share.
oh, there's a
everything.
whole other conversation with that.
That's a whole
too,
nother
you know,
conversation.
Like,
That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah,
And I'm
but
pretty sure I
come
can have a
on, why?
round table. Next time I'm going to have a round table a big ass round table
Yeah,
like
so different perspectives
Jada
and different-
Pinkett Smith has on her table. And just have a bunch of women out there and me.
The table needs to be purple,
Purple.
not red.
All right, purple. Yeah, because isn't it called red table or something?
Right.
Yeah.
Red table talk, guys. We're not sponsoring that.
No, we're not. We're not even talking about her because.
But
still
I
not over
agree. I feel like things should be just for a certain, not
Yeah.
all things, okay, but like, you know, Mother's Day has Mother's Day, Father's Day. It's their own thing. Like, I don't know.
I wonder which came first, Mother's Day or Father's Day.
You know, that's a really good question. We
I'll
can
have you look that up. Yeah.
Yep.
But I will say as well that International Man's Day or Men's Day is November 19th. So if you're a man out there and want to celebrate your day, then go ahead and do that on November
When is it, you
19th.
said?
November 19th.
November. Okay.
19th. So like right around Thanksgiving. Give thanks to men and then give thanks to your family after that. Anyways. International Women's Day, in case you don't know, is a national holiday in many countries, including Russia, where flower sales double during the 3 or 4 days around March 8th. So kind of like Valentine's Day, but for women there. I don't know how much they're doing now because Russia's in a whole state of whatever the fuck over there.
Right.
In China, many women are given half day off work on March 8th, as advised by the state council. So that's nice for them. In Italy, La Festa della Donna is celebrated by the giving of mimosa blossoms, which is nice. And then in the U.S., like we said, the whole month of March is Women's History Month. There's not necessarily a day, but that's because it's International Women's Day, and it is recognized by the United Nations. So everybody in the world should be celebrating that on the day, obviously. But of course, we want to also recognize the contributions of women through history, especially in the U.S. So with that, let me ask you a question, Maria, because I've given you time to think about this since you walked into my little mini makeshift studio here.
But first, I want to go and say that Mother's Day was actually first.
First?
Yeah. It actually says...
So again, men have to fucking...
Right? No, but it said... Okay. So Mother's Day was created in 1908, okay?
Okay.
But it didn't become official until 1914. Father's Day became official in 1908. No, in 1910, sorry.
Okay.
So officially, Father's Day came first.
On paper.
But unofficially, yeah, it was Mother's Day.
Because the people that were in charge of making the holidays were probably men.
Yep.
And they decided to say...
what's his name?
Woodrow Wilson?
Yep, there we go.
Yeah. So the president at that time decided to do that. So, yeah, if it's a man, and they're gonna say, hey, we're gonna push forward Father's Day
Oh,
first.
you know what? Mother's Day should get a day too.
Yeah,
Go
might
ahead
as
and
well.
make it official.
Might as well make it
What was
official.
the second thought?
Even though it came first.
Yeah. Go ahead and ask me.
Oh,
your
so I was going to
question,
ask
sir.
you about Women's History Month, of course, in March. So, do you have any women that you would consider very historical and maybe an influence in your own personal life? Maybe that you have looked up to. Doesn't necessarily have to be famous, but maybe in your own life, maybe that you know personally.
That's a good question. I mean, yeah, that is a good question.
Are you a history buff or not really?
Sorta. When it comes to like, I know this sounds so crazy because I'm on this podcast for Women's History Month, right? But I like American history, of course, world history, but I like wars and I like history in that sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me like the Great Depression, give me World War II, give me all those, the craziness in that aspect. I get it. Women, you know, fought for their rights and they did their thing and we got our rights. We're still fighting for certain rights as well. But, right. But yeah, y'all know which one I was talking about, right? So,
Yeah, we know.
So I feel like the women in my life that have been very influential, I would say, of course, is my mother. She was one that, you know, held down the fort while my father was at work, yes. But she did it. She did it with 6 of us, you know? And to me, I feel like that was very powerful in itself because not only did she hold down the fort with the 6 of us, but she was also a foster mother. So not only did she have the 6 of us, but whoever else needed a home, you know, to be placed in a home, in the time of need, she would take those children in as well. And a lot of the children, they're damaged because, of course, they're in foster care and they're not understanding what's going on. So I feel like mentally she was a very, very strong individual. And I got a lot of my strength from her, in the sense of like holding it down, not, unfortunately, not putting on a face or showing anybody that, you're kind of like falling apart inside. Now I'm learning to go ahead and communicate my, falling apart, but she was a very strong influence in my life and how I am today and the strength that I carry today to put forth in everything I do. So my mom, there are some teachers that I feel like were very influential in my life as well.
Teachers.
Yeah. Shout out to teachers. That's a whole other topic too. There's so many topics that we could talk about.
It's a lot of topics.
Man.
There's a lot of topics.
But
There's,
shout out to the
there's
teachers.
just topics in the world, but I feel it's funny because we have this podcast, side note, very much heavily entertainment, TV, movie.
I love it.
Things
Don't
like
get
that.
me wrong. I laugh
It's great.
so much.
It's a lot of fun.
Especially the Gen Z and all that good
The emoji stuff,
emojis.
yeah.
It
We
cracks me
have
up.
another one on deck. It's Gen Z. I think we're gonna do Gen Z movie quotes. So we're gonna do movie quotes that maybe are Gen Z that maybe we haven't seen before. So that'll be fun. That's a nice little follow up. But I think it's important to have these type of conversations as well, where it's maybe taking a step back. I'm a very diverse podcast. When people ask what my podcast is about,
Yeah.
and I have to explain to them it's a little bit of everything, I'm really trying to like be on that,
On
everything. And I know it's not good because normally a podcast has to follow
Very certain.
a very certain, you have a niche and you
genre
have
or
people
whatever it
that
is, yeah.
tune in because of certain aspects of your podcast. So obviously we cater to a lot of the movie people, and maybe you don't like movies or watch movies a lot.
It's wild because I don't watch movies.
Yeah, but
I don't
at least you
watch
catch up with
I'm
it.
documentaries though.
There you go.
I love documentaries and some crime.
And a lot of people love true crime podcasts.
Yes.
And so
I
when
follow
people-
so many of those.
When people ask like what kind of podcast you have, I'm like, I know you want me to say true crime podcast because that's what everybody loves. But that's just not what I'm about. But I also feel like it's important to be very diverse in what you have, because I have a lot of female listeners that are out there, maybe not as much as the males, but I have the analytics that show me, hey, who listens? The majority of it obviously are men, because men enjoy the nerdy stuff, the movies and TVs. But I do have the women out there that ask for the women's perspective and ask for something more catered to them.
I agree.
And I
agree.
think
and
it's
I was one of
important.
them.
Yeah, you were one of them.
I was.
You were one of them because again, I know what the identity of this podcast is. I know it's about entertainment and all that, but I also want to talk about real life things that are happening, because a lot of the feedback I get from people that maybe have heard previous episodes are like, hey, I like the episode you did where you were just open about your mental health.
I was just gonna say that by far is my absolute favorite.
The Are You,
episode.
Am I Okay? I think it was called, yeah.
That was my favorite one, and it's because you're speaking of true, like, in the moment, true events happening in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's
that's
very
something
vulnerable.
that's happening with you, and with everything that's going on in this world. I feel like that needs to be a little bit more of a topic that is opened, because a lot of people don't know where to start to go ahead and just be vulnerable with themselves or to open up. I feel like with this whole thing that went down in the last couple of years, you had no choice but to be sitting there in your feelings and everything, you know? So I just feel like a lot of people need to go ahead and open up. But that has by far been my favorite podcast that you put out on your...
And I get that from
But
a lot
that's
of people.
me.
So.
I like personal development podcasts. I like things that are literally going to have you, really reflect in yourself and just think about like, wow, if this person's going through it too, and I am going through it, and he had the courage to go ahead and talk about it, why can't I? Yeah.
And at that time I didn't have a therapist, so that was my only outlet to really let that out. So it was a big vulnerable side of myself. Now I have a therapist. Thank you, Jesus.
Yes. You see
which
how
is
like
important. So
you're able to speak like I have a therapist. You know what I'm saying? And it was so frowned upon in, earlier years, like, oh, don't speak like that. You have a therapist, and I'm like, bro, like,
There's a
You're
stigma.
getting help. I had a therapist when I was like 6. You know what I'm saying? And that was because of the traumas that I was going through as I was adopted. So
And I think what happens is, well, back then, it's like anytime you said you had a therapist, it's like, well, what's wrong with you?
you're crazy. Or
Even
you're
now,
wild,
I mean, it's taken a few years, but even now, sometimes there's still people in the old school realm of thinking that are like, oh, well, what's wrong with you? Why you need a therapist? Like, what happened? Why are you hurting? And sometimes people don't need a therapist because of that. They're just like, I just need an outlet to speak my mind. Exactly. And I think women were more prone to be okay with saying they have a therapist than men are.
That in its own is a major issue. I feel like for men is like being able to speak freely about having a therapist, having mental, breakdowns, or knowing that they're like, oh, I'm not okay mentally. Yeah. Because they have this stigma that you need to be like, oh, man. And,
you got to be macho.
You can't have no exterior, like you can't show anything. And it's like, bro, like, no. Weirdly, that I find that more attractive to see a man be able to be in his feelings, understand his feelings, and be like, okay, I'm letting you know what's going on. Like, okay, now I have somewhat of a, I know where you're at mentally,
a grasp of like where that person is.
And it's crazy that he says that, like, people look at you crazy, because I'm currently in a program called Celebrate Recovery, and I put it on my stories on Instagram, and the amount of people were like, oh, are you an addict? I'm like, bro, like, it's not about being an addict. It's about like, there's other things that like play a part in celebrating recovery, like celebrating the fact that, you can overcome addiction of whatever, food, just anything, childhood traumas, learning how to face those issues and those problems and being able to heal properly from them. So I was like, it's wild that you say that, because the moment you say something like that, it's like, why? Like, what is it? I'm like, bro, like, I'm doing my part to heal myself, so.
And everybody has to do their own part and their own healing. And if you haven't, as a side note, if you've never gone to see a therapist, go try it out.
I agree.
I think everybody should have a therapist. I think
10 out of
everybody
10.
should. Yeah, 10 out of 10. Highly recommend.
Right?
That Yelp review, man. It's crazy. It took me a little while because I needed to find somebody that was under my insurance, but it was like,
I remember
all right, cool.
speaking to you about that, and like, I don't know about that, and I'm like, it's gonna help you. It's gonna help you.
I think it was one of those things where it's just like you're afraid of opening up yourself to a complete stranger in a way. And it's like, and for me, I think I always went into it thinking like, all right, I'm going to have my first session, but like, am I going to sit there in silence? Because I'm like, I don't know how to start this conversation. Yeah. But they guide you through it, and they ask you questions like, what are you trying to get out of this? What are you feeling? Just what, has there been any signs, beforehand? Because, they give you a questionnaire before you even go to a therapist, and they're saying, have you had any anxiety? Have you had depression in the past? Have you have suicidal thoughts, anything like that? So they go through a lot of that for you. So then when you go through your first session, you can just be like, all right, you kind of know a little bit of what I've had in my past that maybe has some mental health concerns. So thankfully it was very easy with my therapist. Thankfully. So I am looking forward to continuing these sessions.
But also you were open to looking into speaking with someone. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's different when you're being forced to do it, and then it makes it harder because you already have those limiting beliefs. Mm-hmm. Like, bro, like, no, this is not going to help me. This is not, no, like you went in there like, I do need help. You're facing, like, you're overcoming the denial part of it, so I'm proud of you. Look at you growing, man. It's so crazy to see this growth, yo.
It's been
it's exciting.
It's been in a couple years coming, to be honest. So I mean, I have a lot of friends that I talk to that have known me for many years, and the night and day difference. I mean, there's some things that obviously stay the same that you try to grow out of and try to like overcome. Those are things I'm talking to my therapist about, actually. But in other ways, it's just like I talk to a lot of friends, and you included, that are like, you're not the same person I met 9 years ago. You're not the person I met even 4 years ago.
We are not the same person even 6 months ago, okay? Yeah. If you're really trying to grow and actually heal within, you're not going to be the same person even a month ago. Because a lot of people know it takes 21 days to 28 days to develop a habit. You know what I'm saying? And to break a habit and all that. So I feel like you'll never, if you are on that path of healing and actually becoming a better version of yourself, you're not going to be the same person 30 days ago.
I like
You
that.
know?
I like that. I mean, hopefully I'm not. But I always want to be a better version of myself. So it's maybe not a different person because people could be different, but in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like a month from now, I can murder somebody, and that's
I know, don't
not
say
a good.
that.
No, I'm just saying.
No, but I get what you're saying.
That's
It's
not
like,
good
it's to that
progression.
extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could either go black or white. So
Yeah, so you need to be careful if you are going to be a changed person a month from now.
a better version.
A better version of yourself.
Okay, don't go
is
to
better.
the extreme side where you went.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Well,
so,
I haven't seen him since last year, so to me, he's a completely different.
2022.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a completely different person a month ago because I have not gotten my haircut and I have not shaved my beard. I've been on vacation since February 2nd, I believe. So I've just been kind of like
Nice.
chilling out.
Look at you. What is vacation?
It wasn't even a vacation either. I'm just like at home working on my school stuff and trying to figure that out. And then also going to the doctors.
That's right. You're
finding a
graduating
therapist,
soon, right?
graduating in June. So it's just like a lot of stuff I felt I need to play catch up on.
Yeah.
And then now I'm obviously like working again. Wow. But anyways, let's get back into the
Yeah, I know,
International
right? We
Women's Day.
literally did
We
like
went
a mini
right
mental
to the
health.
mental thing. Yeah, we went straight to it. And I tried not to, but you know,
Right.
that's
It needs to be spoken of.
It needs to
Come
be
on
spoken
now.
of.
In all months, okay? I have something on my Instagram that says all health matters. All health matters. So
back to Women's Day.
we matter.
I did want to. I found it interesting that International Women's Day, they have a theme every year. This year's theme, it's digital. Okay, so it's like digital, but with an extra L at the end, and then all ALL is capitalized. So it's basically about innovation and technology for gender equality. It really aims to recognize and celebrate the contribution women and girls are making to technology and online education. So it's not only women, but also girls, because there are some young females out there that are trying real hard, that are hustling to make the world a better place in general on that. Yes. Yeah. I think one thing that I knew and that many people know is that there is a gender gap on inequality for women and girls as opposed to men, which is also something I wanted to discuss with you. Maybe do you know of, have you experienced that yourself personally, or do you know of a situation that someone has come to you and like, hey, yeah, I'm doing the same job as this dude, but
Yeah. Me, myself, yeah.
oh,
As an ophthalmologist, as a scribe at an ophthalmologist's office. I will not name the office on here. But I was and it was guys, because majority of them were guys. As far as the scribes go, I was the second girl in the scribes, and I was the bilingual one. Okay. I was bilingual, so I was already overqualified, right? Like you would think that
so they
would
weren't
pay
bilingual.
You.
They
No.
were just okay.
Nobody. I would literally get called to other rooms from other doctors that had scribes already to go ahead and translate, because a lot of the patients that we had were Spanish speaking patients. So of course I am bilingual. So I decided, I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm not getting paid enough. I already asked for a raise. They didn't give me one. So I ended up getting another job offer, and I was going to put my 2 weeks in. And I started speaking to the individuals around me. Again, a lot of men. Like I said, it was only 2 women and the rest were men. And we had a group of maybe like 15. Okay. And again, like I said, I was bilingual. I would think that I would be getting paid a little bit more than the individuals, and I was actually the lowest paying scribe there.
Just based on,
lowest
I think, your
paying-
bilingual ability.
Exactly. The
Gender
fact that
aside, is that
Yeah.
you should have at least been getting paid more because of that.
both me and the other female were on the lower paying, while the other male scribes were getting at least $5 more than us.
$5 more?
$5.
I was gonna ask you,
more
like,
than us.
oh, $1 or
No,
$2.
$5 more. Yep, I was getting. You know what? I'm gonna say it. I was getting paid $12.50. They were getting paid $17.75.
Wow.
And they were only there maybe like a year and a half more than I. But that is such a huge gap for me of money. Yeah. And on top of that, I am the only person that spoke another language in our group.
Yeah, you should have had even more. You should have been getting paid more than that. Not even just equal, but more.
Got paid and then
some.
Exactly.
Another $1 or $2 just for your bilingual abilities. Maybe $3 because if the majority of the business was Spanish.
Yes, because we took a lot of Medicaid and a lot of government insurance to patients. And Florida has become very, very heavily populated with Hispanics, you know, so, and older Hispanics. So a lot were government given insurances government given insurances like Medicaid, Medicare and all that. And a lot of them were Spanish speaking, going in for surgery, going in to get, you know, cataract surgery or having diabetic retinopathy in their eyes, needing medication. And a lot of them were through the government, unfortunately, and a lot of them spoke Spanish. So, yeah, I ended up leaving, as you all see now.
I mean, I would hope so. Yeah, I would hope
Hence
so.
the reason why I'm over the medical field.
But I also think, as happy as we are to hear that you left, there are women who are probably not in that position to be able to leave either, and I think that's important to recognize because either maybe they're trying to advance themselves and work in a career that they want to be in, or they're a single parent, and that happens more often than not.
That is very,
most of
very
the women,
common,
most of the single parents that are out there are women, more women single parents than men. That's completely honest. But I think in their situations, they can't get out, so they have to accept what it is. I wouldn't say have to accept, but they
are stuck between.
They are stuck.
What is it? A rock and a hard place?
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Rock and
that the
hard
saying?
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel for them. I really do feel for them because it's not fair. Yeah. It's not fair, especially if you have, you know, qualities that are going to enhance the business. Oh, for sure. Hence the Spanish speaking individual or the trilingual or whatever, how many languages you're able to speak, that in a sense, in overall. And on top of that, I have a degree. Yeah. I wasn't getting paid for my degree either. You know, I have an AS degree in medical assisting. I wasn't getting paid for the fact that I had a degree, you know? So I should have been making like $50. I'm just kidding. But I should have been making more money than I was making there. Yeah. For sure. And to see that another woman was going through that. I mean, she had maybe like $1 or maybe $1.50 more than me because she started before me. But the point is that we were in such a gap of more than $5.
Like a big gap.
Yeah, I feel like that was not a fair.
No,
there was no.
Not.
Yeah, no,
definitely not. So, in that type of situation, like, do you, when you found out? I mean, obviously you were leaving anyways, but did you speak up to anybody? I mean, there or to like?
I did to the administration. Okay. The woman that was in charge of that, and she is the one that told me that I was the lowest paying scribe there. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's nice. That's nice.
So did she choose like what everybody gets paid, or was someone even above her?
At the end of the day, she was the one that would give us whatever it was.
So why do you think?
And it sucks because it's like you're a woman too, you know.
That was my question. Like, what? I mean, what's the line of thinking there?
I don't even want to go there because I don't want to offend anybody, but I feel like it was.
Oh, we offend a lot of people on this podcast. So
okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I feel like it was more of a race thing, okay? And the woman was American, she was white, and I feel like a lot of the scribes that were hired as men were white as well, okay? Like I said, I was the only Spanish speaking scribe. So I think that in itself, and then if you want to go even into depth, the other woman, she was African American. You know?
Oh, the one that was $1.50 above you.
And I don't know, and you know, she spoke Creole. So she was a bilingual individual too, just not in the sense of the language that was mostly used.
That just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And now, I mean, if you want to go into even more, that's why they're where they're at right now and what's going on with that business. So it's not
Oh, that
in
sounds-
good standings.
That sounds good, actually.
Yeah, it actually does.
Sounds like karma
But
playing its part.
Unfortunately, I really do, and I don't want to be that person to be like, it's a race, but that is the only way that I can think that it would make sense to me, because again, she's a woman. It's not like she's, not understanding us as woman to woman, so it's like, what else can it be? It's not like I was horrible at my job, because I would get called by other doctors to scribe for them because of the quality that I had, so it's not like I didn't do my job. So it's like, what else can it be? And that's the only way, unfortunately, my mind is running,
I mean, that would be the same way, I would say, that I would think. Like, I'm like, well, why? If a man did that to me, I'm like, well, like, we should be sticking together or something like
Right?
that,
Yeah, women empowerment.
Men empowerment, exactly. So I don't understand where that's coming from. And unfortunately, it's not a thing that's uncommon. This is a story I had at my birthday party, my quarantine year birthday party, 2020. During my birthday that year, we rented out a movie theater to watch, I think it was Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. Okay. There was about 20 of us. So after the movie, we're all hanging out and we go over to Rock and Brews. And we're having this conversation and drinking and whatever. And I have a couple of my friends there, and we're all kind of like just all chatting. And I have my friend Pedro, who is goes by the name of Bungus. We call him Bungus, humongous Bungus, and he's like real Puerto Rican from the island. When I first met him, I'd make fun of him because he had a really strong accent. So like, he asked about cheese on his burger, and the waitress didn't understand a word he said. So we have like ongoing like just joke, because I'm sitting there laughing at him like, because I have no filter on it. And, I mean,
you really don't.
It's been a lot of years. This was, years ago. But I will say, I'm like,
he's getting better.
I'm getting better. But he was there at the party, and we had a couple females around him, because my other friend Daisy, she works for she's an engineer, and I think she works for either NASA or some department that's like associated with them. And then my buddy works for NASA. I know that, Pedro. So they're talking, and then all of a sudden I turn, and he is being like grilled by her, by my other friend Joanna, and then by my flight attendant friend Ashley.
Oh my gosh.
Because he is saying that men and women get paid equally for the same jobs. I would have been in that same. And they're giving him examples. And I will say Daisy, Daisy and Joanna are very much liberal when it comes to their views on like equality and pay in the workplace, because especially Joanna, because she's very like about the workplace stuff. And then Ashley is just a firecracker because she's a flight attendant and Hispanic, and she don't take shit from nobody. So he's getting grilled by these three women, and I'm sitting there like, what the hell just happened? What did I walk into? But it was about the gender inequality, the pay and stuff like that. And she gave examples. Daisy gave examples about how her pay and the same amount of work that she does or more doesn't get recognized by her paycheck.
That's sad.
And it's a sad thing because she's very smart.
I bet.
And I'm pretty
she's
sure even
brilliant.
I'm pretty sure my friend Joanna, she's been in a lot of different PR positions throughout her life. Like she worked for NASCAR, worked for Universal with their Latin America division, worked for Pinterest. I think now she's at SeaWorld doing some work on that. Yeah. But I would say it's safe to say that men that would work the same position she does probably get paid more than she does as well.
And I agree. Not only that, I've worked in kitchens where, it's a male dominating. Sure. The back of house is just men. Okay. Yeah. And I've worked the same position and I've gotten paid less, but I can run circles around them. Make that make sense.
And in general, I will say females are generally better cooks than men. At least in the Hispanic, Latin American thing. I'm like, I'll take my mom's cooking. Nobody says, hey, I'm gonna take my dad's cooking. Like nobody really does, unless it's like a white person and a
Dad,
barbecue.
If you're watching this, sorry, not sorry.
In general, yeah. It's like
no, I mean,
especially my dad. I'm like, you can't cook for shit. I remember that he never cooked. He'd take us to McDonald's and that's it.
I was gonna say, take us out, please.
But I know, like, if I'm talking about my grandmother, my grandfather, I'm like, yeah, grandma's cooking, mom's cooking. Yeah. So in general, women do. I'm gonna generalize, cook better than men. So I think it's appropriate that maybe the women would be paid more because they do a better job.
Why men get paid more in the kitchen, unfortunately, is because of the stress and the amount of time you need to be on your feet in that. Even though it shouldn't be, because I would work 14, 16-hour shifts in a kitchen. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I would not eat. I would do the same thing as them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was on the line. It wasn't like I was a prep cook. Like, no, I was a line cook with these individuals. And yeah, they would get paid more. The dishwasher, okay, got paid more than me. I know. But I am the type of person that I'm like, you know what? I'll just prove myself. But it comes to a point where it's like, bro, like, how much more do I have to prove? Like, what do I have to do to get the respect or get what they're getting?
And I think there's that line of thinking is very much in line with probably the majority of women in not only America, but also around the world, where it's like, how much more do I have to prove to get what I deserve?
Exactly.
Which is just,
or to even be at the same
level.
Yeah, like why do I have to jump through like hoops with fire while they're just, strolling on the yellow brick road? Like,
why do you have to cut my stuff off?
Yeah.
And not cut the balls of men.
Yeah. Like, what do I gotta do? Like,
it's a lot of stuff that I think is in that. And I think
it's frustrating.
It's frustrating around the entire world, and I feel like even on a day like International Women's Day, we have to recognize that, women have progressed very much from the early 1900s, 1800s, from when women were first spawned on this earth. I would say Adam and Eve, but I am going to say as well, like, there's a lot of progress that needs to be done. I think for every step that women in particular, especially now, they take forward, there are people there to make sure they take a couple steps back. And it's almost like you said, how much more do we have to?
We're dancing salsa.
Yeah.
There's no progression.
When they talk about women's suffrage, it's a thing that happened back then, and it's a thing that happens now. You see a lot of it, especially in like Iran and countries there, with the women that are being either executed or not being treated just with dignity and respect. Yeah. And I think they're not asking for much. They're asking for the respect. Yeah.
Which everyone should have.
That's a human.
Just humanity in itself should just respect another. That's a whole other podcast.
That's a whole other podcast too. Yeah, we're taking notes of all these podcasts.
Literally, there's so much to speak about. It's insane.
So, but I think it's important, like today, I guess, to wrap this up, because I know we're getting there. I think it's important. I'm not going to wrap this up because I'm not a woman, and I'm not going to have the final word here. I'm going to say that for my esteemed guest next to me. But I believe it's important to recognize not only the people that are women that have helped other women get here and progress. And of course, Women's History Month in the US, you're going to hear a lot of stories of women that overcame and that helped to push women in the right direction. And there is a lot of truth to that. But I think it's also important to not stop fighting and not stop progressing. And I think it's not only important for women to do that, but also for men as allies to women. I think when it comes to those type of topics, when we're talking about either equality in the workplace, pay gaps, anything in that nature, women's rights to choose whatever they want to choose. Exactly. I think it's important that men recognize it's okay to speak up. It's okay to be on the side of women. It's not like you're betraying your humankind or betraying men as a whole for doing that. It's you speaking up for, honestly, the most powerful gender in existence today, because as much as I can't even say, as strong as men are, they're the creatures of the opposite gender, women of that nature, they are miles and miles and miles ahead of us and stronger than we will ever be. And I know there's different podcasts that have like, who's that fucking idiot? Andrew Tate and things like that, and people like of.
I don't want to go there.
I have not listened to his podcast. I don't know of his stuff, but I do see clips. Some of the things that I've
heard, yeah, I was gonna say some of the things that I've heard that I'm like, I can't really. I mean, and it's all where you're raised and who you're raised by and where you're at. I get it, okay. But it's like, when are you going to have your own mind to think, like, does that really make sense? Like, that, should I really be saying that in this day and age right now? Like, is that really okay? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But, you know, common sense is not so common, unfortunately.
100%.
And I want that on my tombstone. Common sense is not so common, because it's crazy to hear the things that a lot of men, you know, that are stuck in the... men are superior, men are like, you know, just gods and whatnot. It's unfortunately disgusting for me, because it's like, bro, like, we pushed you out, you know, unfortunately. We pushed you out, and it's not like we're superior, you know, to men, but it's like, bro, give us some respect, bro. Like, you came out of a woman and you're over here like, yeah, you know, one thing I heard was like, yeah, you know, I'll be with somebody, but I'm going to be with whoever else I'm going to be with, as long as you know you're taken care of, right? I'm giving you what you want. I'm still, if I find someone, I'm still going to go and do what I want to do. Like, how is that respectful? Like,
there's a lot of that
you know
stuff
what I'm
that...
saying? Like, it's just, there's so many different subtopics in like the respect of a woman, and like in, you know, with you talking about the pay gap and whatnot, but it's like that as well. That whole like... yeah. Stigma of like, oh, I could have as many people as I want. As long as you know that I'm taking care of you, you're good monetarily, you know, you have a house, you have a roof over your head, I'm still gonna go. And like, bro, like, whatever, just stay single, like, or just don't, you know. And to hear that it's okay, like, yeah, that's exactly what I'll do, and that's what I'm like, bro, come on. It's just, I don't know. Anyway.
No, she don't want to talk about Andrew Tate though. So
yeah,
we're not
giving him any more.
We're not giving him any
nothing
fucking
else.
No. I might just bleep his
right?
name out every time I say it. So, but I will say, like, people like that, you know, don't deserve the airtime. And I think people in general that talk that way and that don't respect women that the way that they should, because I heard a comedian once that was talking about I think it was Trevor Noah. Yeah, it was Trevor Noah, one of his stand-up specials, and he was talking about how people think like dicks are strong, like penises are strong. Mm-hmm. And he's like, we shouldn't say like, hey, like be a dick or whatever. Like people shouldn't say that. Yeah. It should be vaginas, because or vaginas are probably...
balls is the one that I hear all the time. Oh, grow some balls. Like, bro, the minute the man is on the ground.
Men are very, when we have a common cold, we act like the biggest babies in the world. I will say it. I am one of those.
Wherever.
I can be one of those people.
Do you love me? I'm like,
no, I don't get that far. No.
I love you. Oh, I'm sick. I'm like,
cool, man. Sorry, bro.
Okay. And not to be crazy, but I mean, I'm bleeding out of
every month.
You know what I'm saying? Like
for
right
days.
now, I am literally emptying out. Like,
at a time, yeah.
Exactly. So like, okay, cool. And my uterus is shredding, like, or shedding. You want a cookie? Like, yeah.
It's monthly.
God forbid we get sick, right? God forbid we the women get sick.
No, and I think that like Trevor
like a Vagina. Okay. Don't be like a ball. Don't be a set of balls. 'cause
Vaginas
they
are the
weak.
strongest part of any human body. Do you know life comes out of vaginas? Like you came out of that. You came out of every single one of us came out of one.
Right.
So I think it's important for us to recognize the contributions not only of vaginas, but also the contribution of just women in general, and keep just some time out today to recognize that, and take time out of this whole month to recognize women and the contributions, and fight for each other and fight for women. And women, you are not enemies to each other.
No. I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, men are not enemies to each other, but we have egos the size of balls, unfortunately, and then they're terrible.
Exactly.
But I think it's important that women come together and stick together. And I know it's hard sometimes because women are generally more emotional.
Yeah.
And it's
Not
hard
only
to
that, in this day and age that we live into, we're in a who's the baddest, who's the most boss, who's like, bro, we're all trying to get it. We're all trying to get the bag. We're all trying to get the coin. We're all trying to do the same thing. You know, we're all trying to be good parents. We're all trying, like, we're all in the same boat, essentially. You know what I'm saying? So why, you know, don't let that be something that gets in between you, like, you know, lifting up another woman. This is for the women, okay? And also, if someone does influence you, like if someone, you know, you look up to someone, let that person know. And it's not to like toot their own horn or like for you to like, but I feel like if you let individuals know, like, oh, you look up to them, and like, I feel like that helps as well, because it's like it gives them, I'm not saying like a power trip, but for me, I had someone it was crazy because I went to Taco Tuesday and someone literally told me that, like, I ordered something and they ordered the same thing, and they're like, it's crazy how much you've influenced me without even like me thinking about it. I saw what you said what you were going to order, and all of a sudden I ordered the same thing. And like, she told me that on Instagram when we were going to meet up yesterday. It's crazy how you can influence somebody. So I feel like letting the women to women, letting them know like how much you influence them or how much you look up to them, I feel like is a great thing to do. Okay. I feel like it's it's empowering for each other, because you are looking at someone and you're wanting, you know, to be in that same direction as them. And that person that is influencing that person, I feel like it kind of holds you to a, not a higher standard, but it gives you like that reality check, like, bro, people are watching, you know, and it makes you want to continue to do good. It makes you want to continue to like bring joy and light and good into the world, so that other people can go ahead and, or other women can go ahead and, you know, follow in those footsteps as well.
acknowledge each other.
Exactly.
It's what I'm learning in therapy as well. It's an attachment style. When you're feeling acknowledged by a person and by a love from somebody else, whether that's in personal relationships, in parental relationships, just in friendships in general, it's important to acknowledge each other.
I agree.
And
I agree.
even if it's just like, hey, you, like Maria Elena said, you influence me without knowing that you influence me, you know? I think those are like little things that we like to hear as people, just because
It is. It made me cry. I'm not gonna lie, because it's like I don't sit here to be like, okay, what can I do so people can follow me? Like, no, it's just that I want to bring good to this world. It's so dark, y'all. It's so dark out there, and I don't want to be consumed by that darkness. You know, I want to bring light. I want to bring joy. I want to bring positivity. You know, just goodness, because we're so surrounded by darkness. And to hear that, I did shed a tear in the car, because I was like, wow, like, to think that I influence people, and my platform's not even that big. I only have like 3,500 followers. Yeah. It's not a lot compared to like these 135,000. But to know that I influence people, and people have told me, oh, you inspire me, because I am on a fitness journey as well. And, you know, with dealing with, you know, anxiety and all the shebang of mental health, and still pushing forth and still getting up and doing what I'm doing, you know, to hear that, it makes me feel good, and not in a power trip way, yeah, I'm here to, I don't wake up to do that. I wake up to just bring light to this world. And I feel like when you do it with pure intention, there's pure intentions, and just with a pure heart, I promise you, you're going to end up, like you said, like he said, with his therapy.
Oh, yeah.
Acknowledge.
Exactly. You'll be acknowledged, and I just feel like we all need to acknowledge each other. We're so like, oh, we're going to be better than this person. Like, no. Like, if he's doing something that I'm interested in, and like, or a woman or someone's doing something, like a woman's doing something that I'm interested in, I'm going to speak to that person. I'm going to speak to him. I'm going to speak to her. And I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, you know, they're doing it better. And I'm not, you know, like, no, I want to know what you're doing. I am attracted to that, you know? So I feel like working together is a good thing.
Synergy.
Boom. Hashtag synergy, y'all.
Hashtag synergy.
Right?
I'm gonna say it's been a tremendous honor to have Maria Elena here and to have this perspective and to celebrate International Women's Day and Women's History Month with her and with everyone out there. I will challenge everyone, even though I'm not a lady. Find a woman, compliment them, and acknowledge them, and tell them, hey, they're doing a good job.
Wait a minute, you didn't even say who influences you as well. You know, what women in your life influence you. I'm sorry, I cut him off in the middle of him literally saying a sentence. I'm sorry.
like saying
You
my
didn't-
sign off. Okay.
Like,
Jeez.
anyway, no, but I really do want to know, like, who influenced you in your life as far as the women in
definitely,
your life.
definitely
because
my mom.
I want to know
Definitely my mother. I
the
would say
men's perspective.
for sure it's been my mother. Overall, because even though she didn't have an orphanage or
Hi.
in her house,
My mom was a foster mom.
yeah, we had there was a lot of difficulties or a lot of things that she had to overcome overall, especially when I look at when my parents got separated and things like that and divorced, and who was left to kind of pick up the pieces. It was mom. It was mother. And to this day, no matter what I need, no matter what trouble I'm in, or if she even thinks I need gas money, she will still always, she'll always like send me money, give me money, slip something under the door, cash at me or something like that. And it's not all about finances, obviously, but it's about these little things, the same way that we acknowledge each other and friendships and women in that way. It's important for me to acknowledge her in that way, to tell her like, hey, I appreciate what you do. Things were not always easy, but things were not your fault, and things were not to blame on you. And she did. She's doing the best that she can, and will always do the best she can. And she's always the best mother, I would say, that I've ever encountered in my life, because she's very sweet, and she's also not the same person that she was decades ago. I tell the story to everyone, like when I was in the car and I remember we were driving down Colonial, and she got, I think, cut off by somebody in the car. Me and I think maybe my brother and sister were maybe in the back of the car. I know I was definitely there. One of the babies were there, and then she pulled over at the stoplight and got a bat from underneath her car and went outside and started like basically banging on this person's like window to open up the window. It's like she was pissed. She was pissed.
She a G.
So she got that New York style to her that
Hey.
she says fortunately she outgrew, which I agree. I'm like, that's good. She found Jesus.
As long as she's not hitting anybody.
No, she found the Lord. She found Jesus, so she's doing good. She's like, I can't believe I did that. Like, she's kind of like mild-mannered and soft-spoken nowadays, but she still has her loud times and still likes to have a good time. But
it's just the way that we're raised and what we're encountered, like what we're encountering in the moment in time.
There was a lot of scary
Headspace,
stuff.
yeah.
There's a lot of scary stuff that happened back then in her defense. But I will say I do take the good with the bad. So I take a lot of what she has given me and the person that she is now, and I incorporate that into my life.
Yay.
But I
that's
also
beautiful.
recognize where she came from. And there's some stuff, especially road rage. I get that. I don't have a bat under my car or anything like that. But when she drives with me and I get mad because someone cuts me off, she's like, Michael, you gotta relax, be careful. I'm like, don't you remember when? And she's
don't
like,
be holding people to their past.
It's not different. I'm different now, But I love her for all that she does. But she was definitely an influence on me. So
Beautiful.
That's what I would say on that. But thank you once again for coming on the podcast.
Of course.
Did you have any parting words for everybody, all your followers and viewers that are watching this podcast for you and not for me?
Okay. Well, only thing I have to say is just continue to be you, right? That sounds so cliche.
You be you.
Continue to be you.
Be you,
Like, no.
boo-boo.
No, I feel like we hit everything that we needed to hit, to be honest. Like, I feel like women really need to come together, show, each other that we're on the same team, And it shouldn't just be this month. It shouldn't be just Women's History Month or, International Women's Day. It should be an all the time thing, And coming from someone that I grew up with more brothers and sisters. I have one sister, a whole bunch of brothers. I'm more like the tomboy, always with the guys or whatnot. Now in my older years, I'm now with other women and, just being around other women because they do bring out a side of me that I feel like needs to be brought out, being a little bit more, gentle with an individual, learning all those type of feelings and emotions and whatnot of a woman. So I just feel like we should show each other appreciation. We should show each other gratification, that we are grateful for one another because even though we're on different paths, we're still going towards the same direction. We just want to be seen as equal or, be on the same boat or in the same boat as these men out here, That it shouldn't be because I have a pair of or peaches in the back, that should make me more or less than a man that has a pair of balls that are weak. So just love one another. That's another thing. Show love. I understand that it's so hard to show love in this time, but just show love to one another. Show all the women in your life love. And if you have someone that influences you, please let them know. Your mom, whoever it is around you, So call your mom tonight and let her know.
I'll call her. No, it's too late.
Mom,
I can't
I love
be calling
you.
her. It's 10 o'clock at night.
No, just kidding. I mean, you know
I'll
what
call
I
her
mean,
tomorrow.
but call her tomorrow and be like, you know
call
what?
her
I
tomorrow.
appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate your women.
Appreciate you.
We do a lot. We go through a lot.
All right. Well, that's it. For those of you who are a first timer listening to the podcast, let me just remind you that we have a podcast that releases weekly. Every Wednesday it's going to be, because we started this season on Wednesday. So every Wednesday we'll be continuing this. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, and also TikTok.
What?
We've had a TikTok on there, but no, I'm not. It's not me.
Not you.
It's not me. It's my podcast.
I'm not gonna lie. In 2020, I dabbled in some TikTok.
No, we know you did.
I
yeah.
just don't use it anymore. Now I just take the videos from Instagram and put them onto TikTok, and it's all exercise videos. It's not even like dancing, whatever it is.
It's gonna be the opposite of like all the TikTok videos will end up on Instagram, because my brother Alex is doing the TikTok stuff. Like he's the one in charge of the accounts.
Look at y'all dabbling in some.
So there's some stuff on there. So
counts.
Check us out on TikTok. I think it's Give Mike a Mic Pod.
Give Mike a Mic Pod.
Pod, yeah, just pod, not podcast.
Give Mike
a mic.
A Mic Pod.
Pod, yeah, that's the username.
But I have to look that up.
I don't go on there unless my brother sends me the video that he just made, and then I'm like, all right, cool, that was good. Why not?
So you have TikTok on your phone?
Yes. Do I use it? Mm-hmm. No. Sure. My man sends me the video. I'm like, all right, I guess I got to open this in TikTok because it is what it is. But have I scrolled through anything? I don't know how. Do they scroll or do they?
Yeah, you do scroll. But I do have a question. Uh-huh. Do you like Facebook or Instagram better?
Probably Instagram.
What? I'm just asking.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to know. I hardly use Facebook anymore.
It's easy. Yeah, Facebook I don't.
Facebook is.
Can't use it anymore, but Instagram I don't really like to. Yeah.
I like scrolling. I don't want to. Unfortunately, I know it sounds crappy of me.
I don't like reading.
I don't want to read people's.
Damn.
Oh, sorry.
Damn.
Put it in a video. I'll watch it.
There's some stuff I will
I'll
put on
watch.
Facebook, like albums. Like if I travel, I want to put albums on there. But like if I have more than 20 photos, it's like, all right, Facebook.
Yeah, it's hard. Instagram, get it together.
Yeah, Instagram, I don't care.
Come on, go to 20 pictures.
I mean, I'm not
now.
a big on social media, but we do have social media because you got to
That's
follow
where
us
it's at
on
right
Facebook.
now.
You got to follow us on Instagram. Give Mike a mic on Instagram, and then give Mike a mic pod on TikTok.
I can't believe they have TikTok.
And then also, me neither. Also, check us out on YouTube. If you're watching this video, it's because it's either on YouTube or on Spotify. On Spotify, you can actually see the video and audio,
Oh,
obviously.
that is so cool.
Yeah, they have the...
Yes, I'm an Apple person, so Spotify. I'm like,
Yeah. People that are on Apple Podcasts, you are obviously listening to the podcast. But if you do want to see the video version and see who I'm speaking with, then you can go to our YouTube channel. Just search for Give Mike a Mic, and you'll find the YouTube channel. Make sure that if you are listening to us on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, on Amazon Music, on Apple Podcasts, or Anchor, anywhere that you could see a little follow button or a bell, go ahead and hit that, because then you'll get notified when we have our new episodes. And then rate and review us on there 5 stars, because I'm a 5-star man, of course. You know, I usually put my sound effect on there, but we won't do it because I'm not trying to overbook this. But for those of you that are just joining us on this podcast due to Maria Elena, thank you for joining, and this one will not be the last time that you hear from her. Make sure you also check out our other episodes if you're into like movies, TV shows, pop culture. We have a couple like fun ones about Gen Z and even some politics back in the day that we talked
overall,
about.
a great podcast. I love the diversity.
Overall,
of it.
it's a fun podcast. So we have an identity, we do, but we just want you to have fun and enjoy with us. And if there's something that you would like us to hear or talk about, then send us a message. Either slide into the DMs or send us a message on the link of this podcast. It'll have a voice memo link. You could send us a voice message and be like, hey, I like this, or I didn't like this at all. And you can also email us at givemikeamic@gmail.com for any suggestions you might have, and also if you want to be a sponsor of the show. So that's it. Maria Elena, thank you for joining us, and
Thank you
I
for
look
having
forward
me.
to seeing you on our next podcast. Happy Women's Month and Women's Day and all that.
History and happy
And
International
history.
Women's Day,
All
y'all.
that.